Tonight, dozens of workers trapped in a collapsed tunnel, finally free. Joyous scenes as each person was pulled out. The low-tech rescue that ended a 17-day ordeal. Emotional reunions of Israelis and Palestinians on the first day of the extended truce, but for how long? Canada has a housing crisis, so is it time to slow down immigration?
What do we do when we have nowhere to put them?
I don't think the solution is less immigration.
We break down the debate, the arguments.
But your short-term gain is my loss.
With Canadians on both sides.
This is The National with Chief Correspondent Adrian Arsenault.
Thanks for joining us. We begin tonight with an incredible moment in India, one of absolute joy and pure relief. After more than 2 weeks trapped in a tunnel, tonight a group of 41 construction workers are finally out. They emerged one by one to a crowd of rescuers, politicians, and loved ones. The massive operation to free them suddenly surging to completion after days of setbacks. All kinds of technology was used to try to bore a path to the men. But as our South Asia correspondent Salima Shivji shows us, it was the work of a team digging by hand that finally saved them.
After an excruciating wait, 17 days underground, finally freedom for all 41 men trapped inside a collapsed tunnel in northern India. The joy and cheers from officials and rescuers hard to contain, as one by one the men came out, healthy and safe, greeted with hugs and sweets. We didn't focus on the lives depending on us and our progress, this rescue worker says. We just cut through all the twisted metal and rubble, and it was a success. The laborers were building a road tunnel deep in the Himalayas, an area prone to landslides when disaster struck more than 2 weeks ago. The only glimpse loved ones had of the trapped workers came days later. Grainy footage from a camera pushed down a pipe, the same way they were getting food, water, and oxygen to survive. Rescuers tried everything. For days, a large mechanical drill worked to reach the men, slamming into metal rods and debris, eventually stalling. Crews then tried to drill in vertically from the top of the mountain. Officials then had to resort to manual drilling and the expertise of so-called rat miners to break through the last few meters of rubble. Their technique unusual and dangerous, using only hand drills and pulleys. My hands have blisters from pulling the rope to get the men up through an 800-millimeter pipe, this rescuer says, but it was worth it. We were all cheering and hooting. For the father of 22-year-old Manjeet Chowdhury, the wait to see his trapped son again has been agonizing. Now he feels pure relief. I'm so very happy, the elder Chowdhury says. I'm 55, I've seen life, but my son is very young and has a long life ahead of him. I want him to fight every storm in his long life. The complicated rescue operation that captivated the country, a resounding success. The men are now under medical observation with their families close by.
And Salima, obviously officials are applauding, but there are a lot of lingering questions here about how this collapse could have happened in the first place.
That's right, Adrian. Now, this project, this tunnel, was part of Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi's ambitious project to improve access to 4 Hindu pilgrimage sites. But there have been repeated warnings for environmentalists over the dangers of such aggressive construction in the fragile Himalayan region, where the soil is unsteady and ripe for disaster. A preliminary investigation into this collapse actually found that the tunnel was built through a geological fault, so the rock was already weak. And there were other issues as well. On top of that, there was no escape passage for emergencies like this one, which there should have been. Government guidelines mandate it. Now, there will be a safety audit over this tunnel and the more than 24 other tunnels under construction across India.
All right, Salima Shivji in Mumbai for us tonight. In the Middle East, the extension of a temporary truce between Israel and Hamas is holding, allowing for another exchange of Israeli hostages for Palestinian detainees. So in total, 12 hostages were freed, put into the care of the Red Cross before being returned to Israel. Among them, 10 Israelis, all women, In exchange, 30 Palestinians were released from prison, also women and teenagers. They were greeted by family as they arrived in the West Bank. Inside Gaza, the pause to the fighting has provided some reprieve, but there's new concern from the World Health Organization that more people could end up dying from disease than the bombings. Margaret Evans shows us the conditions the people of Gaza are dealing with.
One more day of quiet in Gaza to try and comprehend a world no longer recognizable. For Ismail Al-Ustad, displaced and living in a tent for 35 days now, it's a chance to find water for his family and food. For his wife Asma, to find warm clothes for their children. The weather is very cold, she says. We uncover one kid and try to keep another one warm. For others, it's the chance to move south, away from Israeli troops in the north, or look for loved ones, this woman missing her son. Hamas and Israel agreed on Monday to stretch their pause for another 2 days, and it may be extended again, but few trust it.
We are completely confused about our future, about our children, about our people.
In Israel, one more day to witness scenes like these. A 12-year-old boy kidnapped by Hamas, wrapped in his mother's arms. And these 3 children, also released from captivity, reunited with the family pet. And for some, it's one more day to hope that their families' names will finally appear on the list of those being released. For Yifat Zeiler, it's her cousin and her husband and their 2 children, including the youngest hostage, a 10-month-old baby, all believed taken.
It's the worst scenario, having to wait for that list every night, seeing all those beautiful moments of reunion and hoping that us will be in the next day. And it's not.
10 more Israeli hostages were freed from Gaza on Tuesday, and in the occupied territories, another 30 Palestinians were welcomed home from Israeli jails. For now, the pause appears to be holding. Israel has threatened to resume fighting when it's over. Political scientist Reuven Hazan says there are no tea leaves to read.
Will the truce become a ceasefire? Will it collapse after Hamas hands over a few more hostages and we go back to fighting? After we go back to fighting, will they miraculously find some more hostages because they want another pause? In other words, we don't even know what the next 48 or 72 hours are going to look like.
One day at a time is about as much as many people can cope with.
So, Margaret, Benjamin Netanyahu is facing pressure on more than one front when it comes to the extension of this truce.
That's right, Adrian. There's pressure from the hostages' families. There are still believed to be more than 150 people being held. There's pressure from governments who have no appetite to see a resumption of fighting in the face of Gaza's suffering. And there's domestic pressure on Netanyahu not to let Hamas have the time that it might want to regroup. So competing pressures.
All right, thank you. That's Margaret Evans in Jerusalem for us tonight. A pro-Palestinian movement is calling for a global day of action tomorrow, including here in Canada, against organizations with ties to Israel. They say it is intended to support the people of Gaza, but others say Jewish people are often the targets. Anis Haidari explains.
Some pro-Palestinian protests are taking aim at Canadian businesses. Scotiabank, for example, has been called out because its investment fund owns shares in an Israeli weapons company. And a recent awards ceremony interrupted because of the bank's sponsorship. Now, activists are calling for a wider day of action on Wednesday under the banner of BDS. Organizers pushing for boycotts, divestments from, or sanctions on businesses tied to Israel's actions in the West Bank or Gaza. Pro-Palestinian activists say BDS isn't about ethnicity or religion.
I think that the BDS movement for decades has always been, I guess, misrepresented in this way, as if it was targeting businesses because they were Jewish-owned. And that has never been true.
But some dismiss that when the vandalism at an Indigo store singled out a prominent executive whose charity is linked to Israeli soldiers, many in the Jewish community saw anti-Semitism.
If somebody wants to protest the Israeli government, there are Israeli government representatives in Canada at an embassy and at consulates that are the address for protest. To protest a Jewish business, that's a very different thing.
More broadly, Starbucks has been targeted after it sued one of its unions for publicly supporting Palestinians. But the BDS movement may have limited effectiveness.
Activists do have, obviously, lists of companies that you should boycott. I think that is part of the intention to change the behavior of consumers. I think the reality, though, is that people are not always willing to follow through.
As for challenging the behavior of companies, it may not be working in this case. Scotiabank, for instance, hasn't changed course. Anis Hidari, CBC News, Calgary.
Family of some of the victims of Sunday's mass shooting in Winnipeg shared their grief tonight.
These were mothers, these were sisters, these were cousins, no, these were aunties.
And that is the aunt of Stephanie and Crystal Beardy at a vigil tonight. The sisters from Lake St. Martin First Nation were among 4 people shot dead in a rooming house. A 5th victim remains in hospital. Police have not made any arrests. The shocking death of a boy in British Columbia is renewing the conversation about how to protect kids from sextortion. As Lindsay Duncombe explains, experts say it's often teenage boys who are targeted.
The 12-year-old BC boy who police say killed himself wasn't alone in his pain. Thousands of Canadian children share the shame of being sexually extorted online.
It makes me cry, it makes me sad, it makes me angry.
I'm speaking to a man we're calling Kyle. CBC News has agreed not to identify him. He says he considered suicide after someone threatened to expose explicit photos and videos.
I truly went through it myself, and I was trying to find an alternative way to kind of, have this story end.
Cybertip.ca receives 50 sextortion reports every week where genders were known. 91% of those reports came from boys. It says boys are typically targeted for money, girls for additional images.
There's multiple ways.
The White Hatters, a group of internet safety educators, have helped 300 young Canadians dealing with sexual extortion. It says the criminals usually don't share the intimate images. They just exploit victims' insecurity for cash.
We make it very clear to students in working in schools, don't pay the blackmail money, because more likely, and we've seen it, they're going to come back and ask for more.
The federal government continues to promise legislation to protect children online.
It's a complicated space to legislate in and on. But the urgency of moving, I think, is real.
Kyle paid $2,500 and reported the extortion to police.
But at the end, what people fail to realize is that there's so much going on in this world that a picture of yourself isn't worth you losing your life over.
A message he hopes young people hear and believe. Lindsay Duncombe, CBC News, Vancouver.
So there is help and a listening ear for any young person in need. You can call the Kids Help Phone at 1-800-668-6868, or you can text 686-868 or reach them online. That's because support is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. In Ottawa, there are questions tonight about the stability of a deal helping keep the Liberals in power. The party admits it won't pass a pharmacare bill before a deadline set out in its supply and confidence agreement with the NDP. David Thurton looks at what the delay could mean for both parties.
The NDP hope to make pharmacare law before Christmas.
We are going to force this government to finally bring in legislation
to lay the groundwork for pharmacare.
But with the clock ticking, the government's House leader was blunt.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to get it passed by the end of this year.
The Liberals had agreed to pass pharmacare legislation before 2024. The delay breaches their confidence and supply deal with the NDP, helping keep the government in power.
Do you think it's time to blow up the deal with the Liberals? What do you think?
But the NDP isn't walking away.
I don't think so, not yet.
If the Liberals are willing to negotiate in good faith and get this right, then we will work with them. If they aren't, then we won't work with them.
Pharmacare is super important. We're going to keep fighting for it.
But that patience comes with a price.
But the reality is, if the government needs more time, they're going to have to provide more help to Canadians.
It's not clear what more the NDP is looking for, but it faces pressure from within.
Those in favor of Resolution 1, please show.
At the NDP convention last month, delegates unanimously passed a non-binding motion to stand firm on pharmacare, even if it means ending their political agreement with the Liberals.
Here's the thing, we have a deal. It's a supply and confidence deal. If the Liberals don't agree to it, then the deal is over.
For now, the deal is still in place, but delivering a universal single-payer pharmacare system won't come cheap.
We want to make sure that we demonstrate our commitment, but we also need to respect the fiscal constraints that we're under right now.
When and if a pharmacare bill is passed, it doesn't mean Canadians will receive coverage right away. This is just the first step. Setting up a system could take years, something the NDP and the Liberals say they're committed to. David Thurton, CBC News, Ottawa.
Former First Lady Rosalynn Carter was honored at a memorial service in Atlanta today. In a rare public appearance, Rosalynn's husband, former President Jimmy Carter, was also there. At 99 years old, he's been in hospice since February. Also paying respects, President Joe Biden and First Lady Jill Biden, standing alongside Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton. Rosalynn was remembered for her fierce advocacy on issues like mental health. Jimmy Carter was unable to speak at the memorial today, so their daughter spoke on his behalf, reading from a letter he wrote his late wife 75 years ago while serving in the Navy.
When I see you, I fall in love with you all over again. Does that seem strange to you? It doesn't to me. Goodbye, darling. Until tomorrow. Jimmy.
Rosalynn and Jimmy Carter were married for 77 years. They have 4 children and 22 grandchildren and great-grandchildren. Rosalynn Carter died days after she also entered hospice care. She was 96. A private funeral will be held tomorrow. A massive plan to capture carbon from Alberta oil sands companies has communities on the edge.
Serious concerns about pressurized carbon dioxide being pumped right across the entire land.
The questions about whether it's the most effective way to fight climate change. Next. Plus, as Canada faces a shortage of housing, it is also ramping up immigration.
You solve the labor shortage problem here, and you create a housing problem there.
What do we do when we have nowhere to put that?
Debating the problem and looking for solutions on The Breakdown. And later, a rescue story that will make any tail wag.
I've done this for 14 years, and a dog in a storm drain, that's a first.
We're back in 2. Alberta's government is doubling down on carbon capture technology with the new incentive program.
This technology is important because we're working to phase out emissions. We are not phasing out energy production. In fact,
Alberta's premier says the province will provide grants of up to 12% to build new carbon capture and storage projects. This is on top of a similar tax credit announced by the federal government last year. The premier says the program will help the province reach its emissions target. Dozens of carbon capture projects have already been proposed in Alberta. One of the biggest promises to capture millions of tons of CO2 each year and pump it underground. But as Kyle Back shows us, that is unsettling for some living above it.
The oil patch says it wants to tackle the pollution it creates more aggressively. A $17 billion proposal would capture and store emissions from oil sands plants around Fort McMurray.
So we're scaling and building carbon capture at a rate that we haven't done in the past.
CO2 would be pumped down a pipeline to a massive underground cavern near the city of Cold Lake. There is urgency to start building to help Canada meet its climate goals. The pipeline will have a series of injector wells. In the community itself, there are mixed feelings about the impacts on the environment and the economy.
The impact to local residents, I think, is going to be minimal compared to what a lot of the speculation was.
I worry about an influx of workers, making it really difficult for people working lower wage jobs to find housing.
Most of the emissions would be stored beneath the feet of those on the Cold Lake First Nations, where people have lived, hunted, and fished for generations.
Even with every safeguard in place, nothing seems to work perfectly. So serious concerns about pressurized carbon dioxide being pumped right across the entire land.
And they're valid concerns. You know, we're proposing to inject millions of tons a year of CO2 deep underground in proximity to their communities. And those are very natural questions around the safety of that any one of us would ask.
Addressing those concerns will take time, which is in short supply, and there is a broader tension. While new financial support from the federal and provincial governments encourages more carbon capture facilities, a new report from the International Energy Agency urges a more direct emission solution: produce less oil.
Carbon capture only addresses the emissions from producing the oil. You still have emissions from when it's burnt, and I think we need to do both.
Construction could begin within the next 12 months, and the clock is ticking to have the project up and running by 2030. Kyle Bax, CBC News, Calgary.
Forest fire season may be over, but the fight to prevent future fires is still on beneath the surface.
Even a single ember can restart a forest fire.
The crews battling so-called zombie fires. Plus, a housing crisis in Canada has some calling for a slowdown on immigration.
Before bringing people into the country, make sure there's a plan.
And others saying newcomers are more important now than ever.
I don't think the solution is less immigration. I think the solution is how do we accommodate the immigration that we need.
Pressing questions with no easy answers. 4 distinct points of view, one debate, as The National breaks down the stories shaping our world. Next.
Pull over. Pull over now.
Well, this is definitely not your typical police chase. Police in Ann Arbor, Michigan, trying to catch a 12-year-old boy driving a forklift through residential streets, ignoring police as he drives over curbs, knocks down signs, scrapes parked cars. The low-speed chase lasted about an hour. Police say the boy found the forklift with the keys inside on school grounds. He is now in custody and in big trouble at home. It's been an unprecedented year for wildfires in Canada, and though the season has ended, that doesn't mean all the fires have been put out. As Julia Wong shows us, crews are keeping a close eye on what's happening underground.
It's a dirty job, but someone's got to do it. Searching for fire is far from glamorous work, but that's the point of cold trailing, looking to see if fire is still smoldering underground.
Just to ensure that there's no actual hot spots remaining, because even a single ember can restart a forest fire.
Temperatures may be dropping, but fire can still burn deep in peat.
It'll sit there and it'll smolder very slowly through the entire winter. It might move 6 inches in a month, could move 100 meters.
Wildfire burns through the peat here in the spring, but peat fires can be hard to detect in the winter, especially once there's snow. Crews have to monitor, looking for flames or smoke, and they rely a lot on calls from the public. This is what they can look like. These persistent fires, also called holdover fires or so-called zombie fires because they can spring back to life, can be a big problem. How concerning are holdover fires?
They're definitely concerning in that they're very hard to predict.
Drought conditions and possibly a warm spring could spell trouble.
That we may have quite conducive fire weather next year in 2024 right off the bat, which would be again a concern for these holdover fires. So generally, the contribution that they make individually to total area burned is actually quite small, but in really severe years, it can be substantial.
So this space right here, this used to be peat.
Yes,
but
that was all peat.
Burned away.
Yeah, you can see this branch here is black and burnt.
It isn't easy, though, To put out a fire, the soil has to be exposed to air, then flooded with water.
If we don't deal with them now, we're not sure what we could see in the spring.
So even though it isn't pretty, this dirty work will hopefully go a long way to prevent any fires from springing back to life. Julia Wong, CBC News, Wildwood, Alberta.
So now we go deeper on the story shaping our world. And tonight, it's a big one, a critical national challenge that could change a signature federal policy. This is the breakdown. People from across the country are here for an urgent debate. With an unprecedented housing crisis, does Canada need to slow down immigration?
What do we do when we have nowhere to put them?
2 want a limit.
There aren't enough resources.
And 2 say that would stall new housing.
I could say, oh, I'll build 100 this year. I don't have the labor to do that.
But your short-term gain is my loss.
All right, so we're talking Canada and immigration, not about stopping immigration. There are some people talking about whether the pace of immigration should be slowed down, largely because of the pressure on infrastructure, housing in particular. So that's why we've assembled you here. We also have Armin Yalnizzi and The Economist listening in, who will come back to us after we have our chat with some ideas for the future. And I'm looking at you, Nina, because I'm wondering what you think about that the pressure that they keep talking about is on housing and infrastructure. So let's slow immigration. Is that something you hear often?
Absolutely. If there isn't a plan for where to house them, then why bring them into the country, especially Ontario? Everywhere I go, quality of life is not there anymore. I came here when I was a teenager, and I'm contemplating, should I stay in the country or should I leave? I don't see a future at the moment. And my children, what is their future really? Everywhere I go, there aren't enough resources. So I would like to ask my government, please give us a plan. If there isn't enough supply of housing, then you have to sit down before bringing people into the country. Make sure there's a plan.
So Nina, I hear you, but I'm also going to presume that you're not saying that there isn't a value to immigration.
Immigration is the only way to sustain our economy. I get it. But you have to have even distribution of people. Everyone is coming to Ontario. Give incentives to companies. Give incentives to people to create or build infrastructure out of Ontario.
I see you, Sean, sort of nodding every now and then. What resonates with you?
I was born in Canada, but my family is from Jamaica, so I'm first generation. And just the experience that my friends who are immigrants speak about coming over now versus the experience that like my mom and my grandma had, completely different. There's definitely something wrong. Like my mom, who made significantly less than I do, was able to afford a house in Pickering. I'm probably going to be shut out of the housing market completely and be a forever renter, which I'm fine with, but the reality is something has to change. And I think the only way we can look at what needs to change is to take a step back and slow down. I have friends who are paying 7 months up front to secure housing. I work full-time and part-time, so I completely understand the struggle.
You work full-time and part-time to afford your place?
To just afford life in general. Yeah. You know, it's not just rent, like basic necessity. I was at the grocery store and butter was like $7 and I was like, what? When did this happen?
So housing, right? This is the pressure point that comes up. Andrew, in Moncton, you build houses.
Yes.
I'm just going to take a leap that you are probably thrilled at immigration because you need people to build those houses.
Yeah, and we keep hearing that we're in a housing crisis, and this is not just in Toronto, this is Canada. It's every single bigger city, smaller city, they need housing, affordable housing, and then just housing by itself. And it's great. Like I could say, oh, I'll build 100 this year. Well, I can't because I don't have the labor to do that.
We're talking about more and more people coming in. How is it you don't have the labor?
So like daily, I'm getting 20 to 30 resumes from people that want to move to Canada. It doesn't correlate between, so like I want carpenters typically. And a lot of them are furniture makers. So in other countries, they make furniture, which they feel they're a carpenter. Well, that doesn't translate over to us, and they can't build anything.
We looked at the list of the top 5 jobs for new Canadians when they come here. The trades isn't on the list.
No.
So when you hear a conversation about potentially slowing, what does that say to you?
We need help getting the skilled laborers here. Now, the different provinces all have programs. They're throwing money at it. But what good is it if you're giving low loans to encourage developers to build more houses and more units, multi-units? Okay, where am I getting the bodies to help?
RF, so not only are you in Vancouver, which has this outrageously high housing cost, but you're in tech, which has been kind of an interesting industry over the past couple years. Where are you at right now?
Yes, I mean, I think tech is actually a really good success story for Canada's immigration policy. There's over 1 million people that now work in technology within Canada. And these are high-paying jobs where people contribute to the tax base and help fund the social services that we all need, like in healthcare and with infrastructure and with education. If we choose to pause the number of immigrants that we're bringing in, or if we choose to lower the number, we're going to rapidly age as a population. And the number of people who are going to be using social services is much higher than the number that are going to be contributing to the tax base. If we continue on that path, everything becomes a problem.
But you must have some empathy for the conversation on this side of the table about potentially slowing it down. I mean, these problems are real.
No, of course. I mean, I live in Vancouver. Our rents are exorbitant. It's a really hard environment. I think some of the cost of living challenge is, related to things outside of immigration. If you look at even the Levels Plan now, 500,000 immigrants is only 1.3% of the population. So these problems are beyond just bringing people into to the country. There is inflationary pressure that's unrelated to the immigration targets that we're setting.
I feel like this has become a little bit of what came first, the chicken or the egg. It's like, it's great, you can bring people over and you found someone that can assist you, but what do we do when we have nowhere to put them? If they're coming over and they're taking all their savings and you're saying, hey, I want 7 months up front, what quality of life have we actually improved on?
But if you look at the other provinces, so Moncton, New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, our areas, rent's cheaper. Being able to buy a house is more realistic compared to the Toronto market, the Vancouver market. So it's easier, or maybe we need to encourage them to go to different areas in the country instead of and they seem to always come to Toronto.
I agree, but I think the reality is a lot of people are not going to say, hey, I want to live in Quispamsis over Toronto. They want life experiences, they want the big city, they want to come here.
And I feel that employers like yourself who bring skilled labor from other countries, why can't we look at our own country and give them the skill set that they need to build your homes?
We just don't have those bodies.
Right.
So I think all of that is true, but
because
the time it will take to actually train those people will be a very long time between when you train them and when they're actually going to be usefully contributing to the
I have
But
3
your short-term-
apprentices in carpentry. So they're 18-year-olds. They just
Yeah.
came out of high school. They're in the apprenticeship program. By the time I train them, by the time they go to school, by the time they get that's 5 to 10 years before they can then start training other people.
And you need
But
someone
you're-
who's
I need
completely
them
skilled
now.
right now.
Yeah. But your short-term gain is my loss.
But he's building
in a way.
houses,
No,
so
I understand
I'm
that.
trying to get the housing because they want 30,000 new building projects in Canada over the next 3 years or something. And there's money that the government's throwing at it. Once again, sure, I can say I'll build 10 multi-units this year, but they're all going to be built slower because I have only so many people.
immigrants have always been the solution to Canada's problems. They have helped solve the tech problem. They have helped, build this country into what it is. And it's the same with housing, right? So if we immigrate 100,000 construction workers in the fields that we actually need them, like woodworkers and construction workers and carpenters, and they each contribute an average of 10 homes a year, we're building 1 million homes a year from the immigrants that we brought in. And we simply just don't have enough tradespeople right now that are going to be able to do that.
Sorry, but then how do we combat? We're basically in a 30-year deficit when it comes to housing, as in we would need to build for the next 30 years to catch up to our population. So if we're continuing to add to that population, how do we combat that? We also have to acknowledge the fact that our social services are also stressed. Food banks are overwhelmed. They're running out of food because people can't afford to live. And I feel like that's also contributing to the fact why you see this declining population. Kids are actually a big question I have. And it's not a question of, do I want children? Do I think I'd be like fit to raise them? It's literally like, can I afford them? It's a bit of a disservice to bring people over when we can't offer them the quality of life that we experience.
We talk about immigration sometimes as one word, as one phenomenon, but we all know there are many different pots that goes into, right? So there are permanent residents. We're looking at 485,000 by 2024, 500,000 by 2025, and so on. But then there are the international students who all need a place to live, so 700,000 of them. And then you have the temporary foreign workers.
And what's the percentage of those students being trained? Are they staying in Canada? Are they contributing? Are they paying taxes? Are they going back home? Are we benefiting from that effort? Because that's a lot of housing for those students. That's a huge portion among them is students from just come in to study.
Why don't we bring in Armine Yalnizyan? So Armine is the economist who's been listening in. She definitely has ideas.
Our taste for immigration is starting to cool a little bit because everybody's worried about where they're going to live.
So we've nailed down the problem. Next, let's talk solutions. Back now to Canada's pressing debate. Does a record housing squeeze mean immigration must slow down? We've heard there's no room, but also that builders need workers. Now, some hard facts.
There's always a good moment to bring in Armine Yalnizyan. I think this is probably a good one. So welcome back. What do you make of what you heard?
The reason we're here right now is because we have a housing crisis, but we also have a demographic crisis. Canada's not the only one that's dealing with this situation, but boy, we are changing a conversation that in Canada has never been where it is now, where historically we have been a country that has been built on immigrants, as you raised earlier, Arav, and now our taste for immigration is starting to cool a little bit because everybody's worried about where they're going to live.
Where did this country first screw up on this file?
So our first wave of we rely on immigrants for the solution for everything, the last time we had a labor shortage of this scale was in the early 50s. And my parents came in that wave of immigration. And back then, there wasn't a lot of housing, but the federal government was building tons of social housing because they knew that people that had gone to the war and come back weren't going to move back to their family farms. They were going to stay in the big cities, and there wasn't enough housing in the big cities. So they built low-cost housing. After the Second World War, in the 1990s, the federal government said, it's been nice, see you. That's where we fell off the truck. We thought that the market could handle all of our housing needs, and the markets will never handle low-cost housing needs. And we still aren't addressing that, even though the federal government has quintupled what it is spending every year in the last 5 years. They've really thrown money at it. The market will never deliver low-cost housing for people like Sean.
Mm-hmm. What do you make of what Andrew was talking about in terms of keep bringing people in, but bring different people, or bring the right people in, the tradespeople?
The mix of people is incredibly important, but how do we deal with the demographic crisis so that we are actually maximizing the potential of our own people? We still have over 1 million people that are unemployed and many more million who are underemployed and earning crappy wages, and we're not giving them the training opportunities.
You know, same point that I was making, that you have to have a plan before you bring these people in. Train our own people, distribute the population.
Okay, I have an issue with your distribution, whereas I love the idea of why don't more people move to other places other than the big cities? And yeah, for people living in the big cities, that's an obvious question, but they come to where their communities are. They come to where their networks are. They come to where the jobs are. There aren't as many jobs in Moosonee or in Moncton or in Wawa, right? So the way we got immigrants to move to places that were less populated 100 years ago was we gave them land. We didn't do that in the 50s, and we didn't need to because we were moving from a wartime economy to a peacetime consumer economy. It was not where do you live, it was like come to where we build things, which was Southern Ontario.
Yeah, I still think national interest over emotions that building communities. So we have to look at problem nationally. What is good for Canada?
Well,
that
so
is important.
We do that already. We actually bring people to underpopulated areas, usually with some kind of idea that you stay for 3 years or 5 years, we'll give you some kind of a benefit. We do that with doctors that are trained in Canada. However, we live in a democratic society. You can't force people to stay there for over 5 years or over 3 years. But you can't say, this is it now, you're indentured. You have to live in Wawa for the rest of your life. People have the right to move.
One of the issues with saying you have to live in a place where they may not necessarily want to live is it makes the country less attractive for the people that we need to solve our demographic issues. I don't think the solution is less immigration. I think the solution is how do we accommodate the immigration that we need by thinking boldly, by thinking creatively.
I couldn't agree with you more. And so the place that is going to win this race for talent is the place that says, come and live with us because our quality of life is wonderful. You can afford to live here. We've got the services that you need. You want to make sure people have a living wage. Like in Toronto, you have to have a pre-tax income of $84,000 for the average one-bedroom apartment. How long do you think this story is going to last? We're going to end up having to, deal with shelters for workers so that we can get our Tims poured in the morning. There are no right answers on this one. It's like you solve the labor shortage problem here and you create a housing problem there. Yeah. You solve the housing problem here and you create a labor shortage problem, right?
What's going through your head when you hear that?
I kind of think of like what my mom used to say when we would get in trouble and do something too fast. She would say, when your hand is in the lion's mouth, you take your time to pull it out. If we keep going this way, we're not responding at all. We're just actually adding to the problem.
So you haven't changed your mind?
No.
Okay. Andrew, did you hear anything here that is giving you some pause?
I would still ask for immigration to keep coming because we can't just, we need to keep houses being built.
And by the way, one of the things we should be asking our colleges and universities to do is what they do in the United States. Why are we waiting for 5 years to train somebody with a red seal when we could be badging them to learn how to hang a door in 6 weeks, or to do plastering, or to do whatever it is that you need done one thing at a time? We could be badging people instead of waiting for 5 years to have them ready to work for you.
Okay. All right. I really like the good ideas that come out of these conversations. Armin Yalnizyan, Arif Kamadi, Andrew Nelson, Sean Brown, and Nina Sharma. Thank you very much for spending time with us.
Thank you.
Coming up, a surprising sight in a Kentucky storm drain.
We saw this beautiful blue-eyed husky, his face just staring at us.
A heartwarming rescue next in our moment. Oh, look at this poor guy. Sebastian, a 6-year-old purebred husky, a great dog. But according to his owner, Sebastian is a bit fond of trouble. He's nosy, he's curious. And on Sunday, that landed him in this Kentucky storm drain. So animal control was called, of course, and even the officers couldn't help falling in love with those piercing blue eyes. Saving Sebastian is our moment.
I don't know if you can come out that way. I don't think you can.
On Sunday, we received a call about a husky that had been trapped in a storm drain. And we saw this beautiful blue-eyed husky, his face just staring at us. We don't know how we got in. I suspect maybe that he had chased a small animal through the drain pipe.
Are you gonna come? Come on, come on. Oh, thank you.
And then once he saw daylight, just was begging for someone to help. It was a pretty easy rescue. All we had to do was pop the manhole cover. I climbed into the sewer. He ended up being really sweet, and he let me hold him, hoist him up so the other officer could grab him and bring him to safety.
Are you good, baby?
So the owner called in. He's like, is he okay? And I said, yeah, he's fine. But funny story, we got him from a storm drain today, and I sent him the video, and he said, 100%, that is Sebastian. He just knows that Sebastian is a silly dog and does crazy things, so he really wasn't surprised.
Oh, baby.
I've done this for 14 years, but a dog in a storm drain, that's a first.
It's not like the clown in the Stephen King film. So Sebastian is at home. The owner isn't surprised, and frankly, the owner's pretty sure that Sebastian's going to get in trouble again sometime very soon. For all of us here at The National, thank you for being with us. You can watch anywhere, anytime on the free CBC News app and subscribe to The National's YouTube channel. I'm Adrienne Arsenault. Take care.